According to the Public School Review, currently 1 in 5 American high schools has school uniforms, and this number is only accelerating. We all went to high school, and whether we had a school uniform or not, most of us probably know someone that did. And we can see that our high school experience was very different from theirs. For me personally, I did not have a uniform in high school, but I did have one in middle school. And I noticed some very big differences in these times of my life. So today, we will be discussing why school uniforms should be implemented for high school students across the nation. The three main benefits of uniforms are that uniforms create dress code control for schools, they eliminate status, and they improve the well-being of students. Let's begin by looking at how uniforms create dress code controls for schools. Dress codes have proven to be one of the most controversial topics in schools recently. In fact, many schools have been accused of discrimination in their dress codes. According to Today.com, 89% of people, and specifically 94% of parents, said they think dress codes are too confusing. So, school uniforms can get rid of this confusion in a few ways. First, there shouldn't be an issue wearing the appropriate clothing since the uniform is provided by the school in the first place. But some students still may try to push the limits of the uniform by wearing their clothes incorrectly. Like some kids might decide they want to sag their pants or wear their skirt too short, but this is still less of an issue than clothes in regular schools because it's easy to determine who is violating the policy since all the clothes look the same. Ultimately, it's a lot easier for the school professionals to decide who's violating the policy because they can compare it to everyone else wearing the same clothes. Also, if there is a violation in the dress code, it is easier to fix, since the students with uniforms have all the clothing they need right there, while in regular schools, they may need to call their parents to drive them new clothes, which is very time consuming and honestly just a waste of time for everyone involved in the situation. Next, let's see how uniforms eliminate the status of students. Many of us have been in a situation where we felt embarrassed because we weren't wearing cool enough clothing or we didn't have the latest trend. In fact, according to factretriever.com, 80% of 12 to 16-year-olds said appearance, such as clothing, is the number one aspect of feeling like they didn't fit in at school. This is because clothes classify people into groups. It gives people labels and it teaches them to be exclusive very early on. As you can recall from school, all the kids in the band group dressed a certain way, all the kids in the skater group dressed alike, all the sporty people dressed alike, and that goes for every other group in the school as well. But school uniforms level the playing field by not letting students put limits on their success because of where they feel they fall in the food chain in the school. A lot of kids will limit their success based on what they feel their status is, but uniforms take away this status by taking away the pressure from certain groups within the school system. Some people may say that getting rid of these groups will get rid of the students' ability to express their style, but actually it is the opposite. Students are able to create a style of their own when they're only allowed to choose their clothes on the weekends because there's a lack of social pressure from all the other kids in the school. Also, when kids have to come up with what they're going to wear every day, they end up getting lazy with their outfits. But if they choose their outfits only on the weekends, they can put more effort and their own personal touch into their look. Lastly, let's look into how uniforms will improve the well-being of students. It is argued that uniforms are a financial burden because it's an extra expense for parents to pay for. But in reality, families would spend way more money on clothing shopping for school every year than they would on uniforms every year. In fact, there are 20% more schools with uniforms in low-income areas than there are in middle or high-income areas. According to educationcosthelper.com, on average, school uniforms cost about $200 a year, while parents will spend more than $600 on regular school clothes every year. That's a lot of money you'll be saving, and who doesn't like to save money? This saved money can then be spent on healthier eating, tutors, sports, and other activities. all things that will bring a lot of opportunities to the students and allow them to live a healthier lifestyle. The CDC even reported that the number one reason for unhealthy eating is the cost of the food. Healthy food tends to be a lot more expensive than junk or fast food, so parents end up providing less healthy choices to their kids in order to try to save money. So wearing uniforms in this sense doesn't have direct effects, but it has a lot of positive effects on every other part of the students' lives. In conclusion, implementing school uniforms is a change that will have outstanding effects on students' lives. Uniforms create dress code controls that are easier to enforce and more clear to the students than in regular schools. They also eliminate status and even the playing field for students to learn and grow. And lastly, they create a healthier lifestyle for students by saving them money to spend on better options. In the end, if you believe that high school kids deserve to be focused, happier, and healthier, then you should support the implementation of school uniforms.